Who's the best trash talker out of the boys?
Oh.
And who's somebody that's easy to pick on?
I liked picking on Oscar. He was always smaller than me.
Yeah.
Growing up.
We were the youngest, that's why.
He was the baby. He was the little runt of the group. But I think I don't know if there was the best trash talker. I would say
All the boys talk trash.
all the boys talk trash.
None of them
It
at
was
any
awful.
game.
I was really bad at trash talking. I'd
I
like
don't think-
stutter.
I don't think we would trash talk. I think we would just be like, oh, okay. And then we'd just play our game and we'd show these boys like no, like we're in charge. It's honestly really funny to look back at because it's true. I mean, there were some talented guys out there, but we would really handle ourselves well. I thought.
Pat on the back, Diana.
Right? Yeah, pat on the back. Good job.
It's funny. Oh, go ahead, Luke. Go ahead.
So
Sorry.
we're totally coordinated, as you can tell.
Yeah.
Playing with club a little bit, just to kind of talk about that for a second. How are those games different from your normal McWayne practices or your normal like local park league stuff? And was it any different from what you saw in high school? Because I mean, that's obviously the next level, going from club grammar school to club high school.
I mean, I think from what I can remember, I know club was structured
A lot more.
differently in the way practice was.
Mhm.
I think we definitely scrimmaged a lot more, which was so much nicer. And then with like looking at like high school practices, it's like all focusing on drills, skills, shooting. It's different. I mean, obviously coaching goes into play there and different coaching style, but I think club focused more on like getting the experience of like what it's going to be like in a game, because I don't know if it was necessary that we played more games, but I think it was nicer because we had so many people. Maybe that it would have been a difficult thing to do in high school, but yeah, this just the structuring of like focusing more on skills compared to how it was in club.
Yeah. I'm trying to think back on how, because I feel like every year was so different from like I remember with like park practices was a lot more like a little bit of a free-for-all, like we had to play through things, whereas like with club games and even like I don't know, I think it just really depended on like who was reffing like the year. I just remember in high school too, like I became more of like an offensive player before I was more like a defender, but with Cashman like we focused a lot on like shooting and like drills like with Diana in set. So in high school I was able to develop more of like my offensive skills. But yeah, I think with club practices definitely got a lot more opportunity to like scrimmage and kind of perfect a few of those skills a little more.
Yeah, and I think with club it really helped us kind of figure out where we sort of belonged in a game. I know in high school it's like you're put into a position that you're going to play for like what you would assume the rest of your high school career and on. In club you would scrimmage and be like, okay, you drive in, or like,
Yeah.
hey, you go to point, and then we'd switch around. And it's always nice to have that experience because you never know, maybe you're going to be better at this, or maybe you're going to develop skills in this position, and it'll kind of just help you grow as a player.
Yeah, I think especially with club, it's like all of us are typically somewhat around the same level. And so you're getting like the best players of each, park and like all coming together. Like there's people from Harrison that are like sets and center Ds, but there's also people in McWayne that are sets and center Ds, and we can just kind of switch off and like get a chance to do something at all positions. So I felt like club kind of really helped us become more of a utility type of player, whereas like high school and maybe even like our own parks, we were focused on one position.
Can you guys describe the transition between you as a player from grammar school to high school, and then the second part would be from high school to college? Like Nemo, you just described, you know, you're a defensive player, and then all of a sudden in high school, you had to work on more offensive skills. Like, can you guys just go through the progression of you as an athlete from grammar school to high school, then high school to college?
I mean, grammar
Go
school,
ahead, Diane.
high school was probably, I mean, other than like, I think it was pretty equal. And like, I guess I was more utility when I was younger because they would never throw in like a super young person into whole. Maybe there was probably always someone more experienced than me to be thrown in there. Once I got to high school, I did, well, except my freshman year, starting my sophomore year on, I was more of a whole set. So that transition to just figuring out how to get the ball into a set and getting the ball behind the net, that was all I had to learn for the last 3 years of high school. And then from there, having to go into college, I definitely have not played whole set. I'm a driver. I'm a utility, or I was a utility. What's so sad to say? I was a utility, and they would occasionally throw me into set whenever my coach needed. But we had, even this year, we had 2 sets. I never played set, but they would have me just drive in. I would always post up. That was always so I never had to focus on like working on my. That was one thing that I remember so vividly of high school and never having to do it again in college was Cashman would just put me on the gutter, and he'd just have me do this like drill where I would focus on all my sweeps, my backhands, my step outs, anything to do with a center shot. I would do that while the rest of the girls did their shots or whatever other drills they were doing. And he'd have me do that for like 15 minutes during every single practice and right before every single game, just to kind of warm me up. And then going into college and realizing that that's not something I'm focusing on anymore, it was kind of weird. But because then I realized, wow, I focused so much on center shots that my outside shot was awful once I got into college, and I had to figure that out so quickly. And that was kind of difficult to do. But I mean, you live and you learn. You learn new skills every year.
For me, yeah, definitely in grammar school, I was kind of like on the, I don't know if this is like true, but like I felt like I was more on like the sidelines and like just helping with defense. And then going into high school, I started off more on defense again, but like that, I think the year that we graduated, like Tammy Stelnicki and like Becca and you know, like those seniors, and it was just kind of me, Diana, Jenny, Karen. I was starting to become more of like the person that would be at point, moving the ball around and trying to get it to Diana. So I was starting to become more of an offensive player, starting to like create more offensively. And I think once Diana and Jenny left and Karen left, I had to kind of like step up, just because I was the one on our team that had the most experience. And then even before that, I started doing ODP. And so I started to learn more offensive skills. I feel like just like the shooting drills that they would have us do, I don't know, before I wasn't really an outside shooter, and just like kind of using those skills that I learned through them, and bringing that back to high school. Like I felt like I had to step up my game more. So I started going into set more once Diana was gone. And like, it was just kind of different for me to have to figure out a new way to like get my teammates moving, just because a lot of my teammates didn't have the same experience as like people in the past. And so then in college, yeah, I felt like in college I had a lot of like expectations put on me, just because Matt Anderson, my coach, knew that I came from like CPD, and he had seen me play before, and so he knew like my potential. And I think in college, that's when I really got the chance to like do a lot more offensively, shooting out on the outside. I was just so used to like driving in and like kind of doing like push shots and things like that, and Matt helped me perfect like my shot from the outside. So I don't know, it was like a transition throughout the years of like being more of a defensive player, and then kind of transitioning to like a player that was like key in offensive aspects of like the game. So yeah.
I remember you guys being very good defenders. I think you guys are underrating yourselves. And just to throw this out there, do you guys mind like giving your accolades that you did or that you earned during your high school career? So that the reason I asked that question is so that kids that eventually watch this, our grammar school kids, know that it's possible and know how like good and how like awesome you guys performed individually and as a team. So if you guys don't mind, could you like just rattle off all of the accolades that you guys earned like throughout your high school career, Diana?
Yeah. Do you want me to go
Team
first?
and individual.
You can go first. That's all right.
Okay. I think one of my biggest things that I was like super proud of was being part of the national team, USA national team in 8th grade, or was it 7th grade? 8th grade or 7th grade, but I was the only person in the Midwest. This was like 2012. So that was like one of the biggest accomplishments I ever had, like as like when I was younger. And then in high school, I think it was like 3rd team All-State, 2nd team All-State junior year, 1st team All-State my senior year. I got what was it, MVP for Catholic schools in all my senior year. MVP, or not MVP, Rookie of the Year for freshman year of college, Division III. Second team All-American freshman, sophomore, and this year. And then we've won like sectionals in high school, all 4 years for me. And then 2nd place in state with Diana my freshman year. But yeah, those are just a few.
You say that so happy, and I remember that 2nd place being the saddest thing ever.
Yeah.
But yeah, so in high school, it's gonna be hard to remember, but my freshman year I didn't win anything. I was a starter my freshman year, but I was thrown into a lineup of all seniors, and then me and Jenny Stelnicki in the goal. So I don't think I had much of a offensive play, so I didn't really get recognized that year. Then my sophomore, junior, and senior year, I got first team All-American or first team All-State, and then my senior year of high school, I did get runner-up for Player of the Year, I believe.
Yeah,
and
you did.
Then I'm pretty sure that was senior year, not junior year. And then in college, I got Rookie of the Year my freshman year. Sophomore and junior year, I got 2nd team. And then and then junior year, I got All-American honorable mention, and then this last year, same thing. If I'm correct, I don't know if I missed anything.
That's awesome.
Oh yeah.
That's awesome. Both of you guys. That's absolutely awesome.
So here's a bit of a fun question for you guys. Since you guys have been staying at home since the last couple months, what's the best thing that you've done during this time that you probably would not normally do any other time?
Ooh, I got one.
Go, Nemo.
I started running. I hate running. I hate running. And now I can't go, well, I'll take a break every few days, but like it's something that I like need to do now. So I try to run at least like 2 miles every day. But yeah, if you know me, I'm a very clumsy person. So the fact that I'm like actually running is like a big But yeah, that's my thing. It's not anything special, but
that is special. Because you're right. Nemo was never a runner probably until you became a lifeguard. Because, I mean, you run on the beach. But that's something that is the opposite of me. I have not done anything. So I have no motivation because I don't have season anymore. But that's one thing that I've been meaning to change, and because I finished finals this last week, or last week, I mean, and I was like, okay, my senior year is over, college is done, I can focus on working out. I have nothing else to do. I don't start my summer course for another month, so mid-June. So I have an entire month of just doing nothing. And so I've been slowly, I even have like my little schedule over here. I like writing everything down. So I would like, I had like this like setup of making sure that I would go out and do like some type of exercise. So I told myself I'd start off really, really light and just take my sister's dog on walks, like 2-mile walks. So I've been walking to like Karen Juarez's house just to like get something in. Yeah, I like let my dog into like the fence so that he can go play with her dog for like 2 seconds and then walk back. So like I've been really bad about it, but now that I have an entire month of like I'm really just not doing it. My mom just threw out my bike, so like I can't even go bike somewhere anymore. But I really want to get rollerblades. I think I want to get into rollerblading again. I used
I've seen those TikToks. There's like TikToks of people like rollerblading and doing all these tricks.
Yeah,
You should make
I
one.
have to figure out how to ride them again. I forgot. But yeah, I mean, I was a really avid runner. Like I would run all the time. I would even run at school a lot. Like whenever it would be like a weekend or maybe we were on spring break, I would just make sure that we had like a really nice path that we would run at Siena, and it was called the Loop, and it was like a path through the mansions in the back of my school, and it's beautiful to see and like just super peaceful to do. So I think I really didn't get into running until like I became a lifeguard, and then I pursued it throughout college, even though my team doesn't do any running. But I would definitely force myself to get up and like either go watch a sunrise or just force myself to just get out of the school, because I mean sometimes you gotta force yourself to do a little bit of uncomfortable exercise.
You sound like such an adult. The sunrise.
Trust me, beautiful. You have a gorgeous campus. You would feel the same way. My campus is really little, so like I take advantage of like the very nice aspects around.
Just hearing us talk right now, we sound like I wouldn't have said this when I was like
adults. We sound like we have our lives together.